Hi guys, today we're gonna go over mounting your UpTop mount for the ScanGauge onto your ScanGauge. We'll start there, and then we'll go out and show the install on the vehicle. This is for the GX470, and with your mount, you get the mount itself, which is powder coated, a little bag of hardware, and a grommet, as well as a template to drill the holes in the back of your ScanGauge. So we'll start there. You're going to need a small Phillips head screwdriver, and you're going to need I believe this is a 7mm 1/4-inch socket, and a 2mm Allen head wrench, and you'll need a 3/16" drill bit. Let me get that. A 3/16" drill bit. So you're going to start by holding your ScanGauge this way and then turning it over directly facing you on your work surface. And then you'll remove the 4 screws in the corners. I've already done this on this one using the Phillips head. The screws are right here. They're very small, so just be careful you don't lose them. And then you'll pull the back off of your ScanGauge just like this. Move your ScanGauge out of the way and put it right back down on your work surface with the plug opening right here on that side. And then you'll take your template that I've provided, and you can see it says plug right here, so you make sure you get the right side. And then you're going to want to center this on your ScanGauge the best you can. It's pretty important at this point to make sure you center it up, and then you want to tape it down lightly. And then you're going to use a pencil or a marker or something. You'll need a pencil or marker. You want to put the ScanGauge on here, on the bracket on the back of the ScanGauge, just like so it lines up. You see the little markings to align it on the template, and you want to hold that down there very firmly. Once you get it lined up, kind of center the circle in the bullseye there, and then you'll mark your 2 holes on the back of your ScanGauge panel. I've already drilled my ScanGauge. Use a 3/16" drill bit to drill those holes. So then you'll take your template off. You'll have the holes marked on the back of your ScanGauge panel, and then you'll be able to drill those holes. And there's the holes drilled. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the hardware, and I'll be right back with you. So now you can see that I've attached the hardware. The button heads are on the outside with a washer underneath them. Those are a 2mm button head, and on the inside I have a washer and the lock nut. That is a 7mm lock nut. Just made sure that the gauge is the gauge back is flush with the top of the mount. And then we're ready to put our ScanGauge back together, and it's ready to go in the car. You'll just put the 2 halves of the ScanGauge back together, and then put your 4 screws back in the back, and I'll do that now. We'll go out to the car, and I'll show you the install on the GX. Okay, we're back in the car, and you can see that I've already run my cable. I did that for when I ran did the prototype, and I'm just going to show you real quick how you want to take this panel off the A-pillar trim and run the cable, and then we'll get into the mounting itself that goes to the visor mount. So first we're going to take both of these little covers off, and then you've got 10mm bolt holding on the grab handle, and another 10mm bolt down on the bottom. And these bolts kind of stay in there. You don't have to take them all the way out. and then the thing separates. There we go, there's one. And two. And then you want to take off the A-pillar trim. That's pretty easily accomplished. Just get a tool up underneath the top here. Very carefully, trim removal tool, and pull it away and then up. Kind of work it out a little bit and it'll come out. And then you can run your cable from what I would suggest. I actually put mine, I have some other cables running up here too. I put them in some split loom. There's plenty of room to run down there and get down to your OBD2 port. I kind of spooled up the excess down underneath the kick panel here and zip tied it up, and then I ran it up here and I tucked the cable in about 4 or 5 inches across the headliner to about the point where the visor attaches, and then I left about 4 or 5 inches free, because you'll plug this into the end of your ScanGauge. So next what you want to do is just take a Phillips head screwdriver, take this little cover off, just kind of get your fingernails underneath it, and this cover pops off. Very easy to do if you extend the visor. And then you'll just take these 2 screws out. And if you remove this, it also helps getting the cable tucked up into the visor. And on the back side of this mount here is kind of a socket, a little plug that's kind of molded into it, that is for the power for the vanity mirror in your visor. So you want to be careful not to, you want to support it while you're removing these screws, and then pull it directly out. And you can see that there's wires and a plug, and that actually plugs into a little socket that's mounted up in here. Now, one of the things that you'll want to do is, let's see if you can see it on the video. I'm gonna move the video here. So the headliner has this kind of pattern around these 2 screws, and it had the same pattern on the bottom side. And the grommet that we supplied with the kit needs to sit up in here like this, because it holds the mount tight. So what you're going to need to do is just take a utility knife and just trim a little bit of this headliner. You can see where the cover goes, so you can see that you're going to leave plenty, so you're not going to go beyond where the cover is going to cover it anyway. So you just want to take a couple of these. There's 2 little corners here. You want to take the corners out, similar to up here. You want to just cut those out of the headliner. And while you're at it, you can pull your headliner down a little bit and get your cable tucked up under there. And I have it coming out of the headliner just a little to the left of where these screw holes are. So then what you want to do is take your UpTop mount, and you want to install it right there on the visor, and then you want to put your grommet on right here. And then you want to get that whole assembly back up into the plug with keeping the grommet in place, and hold that guy up there. While you get a screw started. So you'll want to get the first screw started, get it in most of the way. You don't want to put any pressure on that little electrical socket in there. Okay, I tightened that down pretty good. While I get the other screw ready. Try to get the other screw started. Get the other screw started. I'm going to back this one back off a little bit. Now before I go any farther, I want to actually reinstall the A-pillar trim. Make sure my cable's all up in there. Make sure it's a good length so it can reach the scan gauge. And then you want to put this back in, get the bottom down in, get it behind this little felt trim here. Wheel it back down in there. It'll pop down in there. The fabric on mine pulled out just a little bit. Just tuck that down in there. And then put that back in place, and we can reattach the grab handle after we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. I'm going to put the scan gauge up in place so it's level with the dash or the windshield. And tighten it down. I'll go ahead and plug my scan gauge in, and it's already plugged into the OBD2 port at the other end, and you can see that it's all up in place. And then just go ahead and reattach your grab handle. Make sure this trim is in all the way, and you're done. You can enjoy your scan gauge. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate your purchase. Hope you enjoy the mounting location. Have a great day.